baseball. He scored! Oh my God! Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive, hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the wall. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Reds win. Line into right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed the no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream begins to the career of Jay Bruce.
Welcome into a Sunday night edition of Chatterbox Reds. One of the all-time American sports weekends of my lifetime. The Pirates, you might not think are a very good franchise, and I would tend to agree. You might say, Trace, they're not a very good baseball team, and I might tend to agree. But I got to be honest. I remember back to a time where I was standing in the middle of a concert where I thought this thing is in the bag. There's no way the Reds are going to blow this. We got a chance to make the postseason. I think the Reds at that time were up like 13-1. I'm exaggerating a little bit. And here come the Pirates. Hit after hit after hit. And it just so poetically today, I thought there's just no way that this Masters that I'm watching is going to happen like this. And there it went. Shot by shot, I thought to myself, there's no way this is going to happen. And I didn't think in a million years, if you'd have told me last week that the Cincinnati Reds would be 8-8, I would have said you're an idiot. But here we are. Some are saying we're not back all the way. I don't really give a damn, Nick, what they think. I'm all the way back in. And it's largely because we might just have the best pitcher on the planet. Genuinely. I mean, man, maybe I'm overreacting. Some will say, oh, there he goes again. Why don't you just take that same energy you had last week, Trace? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we lost 1-0 like 3 times in a row. Would you have been happy? No. But here I am. We found a way, Nick. They swept. They won some games they probably shouldn't have won. And you know what? It feels like the season's back on. Nick, I hope you feel the same way.
I don't feel that much different than I felt a week ago.
Yeah, see, that's why Nick's boring. What a boring guy Nick is. He just wants to tell you, well, I already told you this. You got to rely on the starting pitching, and the starting pitching's what's going to get us through. Okay, Trace? I know you're down in the dumps, but you got to pull your head out of your tail, and you got to realize we got some of the best starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. Yeah, I know we got guys that couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat, but you know what? We're going to be all right. That was you, Nick. I got to give you credit. Here I sit. Maybe I should have listened to you all along.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I think last Sunday we did a show and everyone was way too far overboard in the dumps on the Reds, and now everyone's probably a little too high. I mean, but I'm happy that everyone is back. Look, it was a very fun week of Reds baseball. To get back to 500 as quickly as they did is significant. And if our Dodgers can come back, the Reds could be a game out of first place.
See, now I didn't go there. You're saying I'm overreacting. You're looking at the standings right now.
At the standings every day.
I know you do, but I'm just saying because it just doesn't seem like it's worth it. Let's focus on our game. Anyways. All right, we got a full show as always. Box score recap, deep drive of the day. He's got Cy Hunter on there. Obviously, that is a well done title. Santiago Espinal. Hey, just keeps on being a scrappy little ball player. At some point, maybe people might appreciate him a little bit more. I don't know. Game time, 988, and then on the back half, we'll get into that in just a moment. But before we do all that, just want to say thank you to everybody that has jumped in here already. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Jim Lafferty pops in with a $20 super bomb, and by super bomb, I mean a super chat. He says, I recall some nights last year when Trace was downing shots based on the amount of money Chatterbox was able to raise throughout super chats. I think tonight is one of those nights. Let's go Reds. Listen, here's the problem. I have to work tomorrow. I know that people think that, hey, what do you do for a job, Trace? And I try to explain to them, they think that I don't have a real job. There's things that I have to do tomorrow, and I would enjoy waking up tomorrow not too bad off. So I'm going to stick away. I'm going to stay away from the fireball deals tonight. But, we'll see where the night takes us. I'll leave it at that. Box score recap, Nick. Take it away.
All right, Reds taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Reds looking for their first sweep of the Pirates since 2021. Hunter Greene against Carmen Mlodzinski. Hunter Greene in his career coming into today, 7 starts against the Pirates. The Reds were 0-7 in those starts, and not because Greene was bad, but because the Reds got a total of 10 runs of support in those 7 starts. Greene was a little shaky early, gave up extra base hits in both the first and the second innings, but Greene pitched around them. No score going into the third. In the bottom of the third, Austin Wynns walked. TJ Friedl A little double and then a 2 RBI single from Santiago Espinal put the Reds up 2-0. Reds played add-on in the 5th. Noelvi Marte would end up coming around on a leadoff walk and a stolen base. Ellie De La Cruz would drive home another run later in the inning. That made it 4-0 Reds, and that was more than enough for Hunter Greene. Greene retired the final 17 batters that he faced. Greene threw 7 shutout innings. He has an active scoreless streak of 18.2 innings, and a 0.98 ERA. Ian Jabot threw a perfect 8th. Tony Santillan threw a perfect 9th. Reds win 4-0. Reds sweep the Pirates. Reds have won 5 of 6 and are back to 500 at 8-8 on the season. It's the first time outside of the opening series that the Reds have been 500 since May 3rd of last season.
All right, we got the deep drive of the day. It was a double. You know, we can't get too greedy sometimes here on the deep drive of the day. Gavin Lux. That's our left fielder, if you're keeping track at home. He doubled on a line drive to center field O'Neal Cruz. Exit velo a whopping 87 miles an hour. Not the fastest exit velo we'll probably have on the DSC deep drive of the day. That's where we're at, you know. I was thinking that we were going to go with one of those flares from Santiago Espinal, one of those big deep drives in front of the center fielder, but I guess Nick had better thoughts. All right, DSC, they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. All right, Cy Younger, call it whatever you want. He's been the best pitcher in baseball so far. Will he continue this? I guess time will tell. Obviously, he's not going to do sub 1 ERA all year long. But I do think it, at least if nothing else, paints a clear picture on the progression of Hunter Greene, right? Like, you can get to a certain point in your career where you've peaked, right? You've hit your prime, call it whatever you want. And I'm not saying that that's, like that was likely that Hunter was going to peak before today or before this season. But it's no guarantee that he was ever going to kind of get to where we ultimately hoped that he would be, right? Hunter, at this point, I think he's exceeding expectations on, obviously what he's doing this year, but even dating back into last season, I think Hunter Greene has solidified himself as one of the best pitchers in baseball. And now you're kind of starting, at least in my opinion, Nick, to put him in the same category of when we talk about the time frame that you have somebody in, let's do something with it. The way we talk about Ellie and, hey, let's do something while Ellie's here, I'm not saying we shift it totally because I love Ellie, but I am saying I think we need to kind of include the fact that we have Hunter Greene in that conversation at this point now too, because if nothing else, Hunter Greene is unbelievably invaluable for a small franchise or a smaller market team, whatever you want to call it. I know people don't like that, but I'm just trying to keep it, 100 as the kids would say. I would just say this. Hunter looks the part too. This doesn't seem like it's smoke and mirrors, Nick. I don't know. Obviously, I know how you feel, but that's the most rewarding part, at least in my opinion, when it comes to Hunter Greene, is he legitimately looks like he's the best pitcher in baseball. He's not just getting guys out. He's getting them out because he's just better than them, which I think is different, and hopefully people understand that.
Yeah, last 14 starts. Shout out to Underdog MLB. They tweeted this out. This certainly hit the rounds on social media. Last 14 starts, that goes back to right around July 1st of last season. 1.05 ERA, 97 strikeouts, and 85 in the third innings pitched. A 0.71 whip. I mean, those are just ridiculous numbers. I'll say this, Trace. I don't know if I would have thought this coming into the year, but I love Ellie De La Cruz. But Hunter Greene right now is a better pitcher than Ellie De La Cruz is an offensive player.
Yeah.
Right now, at this moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're talking about maybe the most valuable player, clearly Hunter Greene is that guy right now, right? Like, as far as trading guys away, if you want to call it, I don't mean like literally. I'm just saying, like, if you had to swap people out one for one, if you swapped Hunter Greene out with any other pitcher, you're losing value there if you were to try to do that almost on anybody. And, clearly you can make the argument over the course of a year, maybe you're going to have a couple guys you could pick that are going to be better than Hunter. But the point still stands. The opposite side of this, I think, is also true, which is, what do the Reds do and what sense of urgency will they have if Hunter continues to throw the ball this well? Time will tell. I don't want to get ahead of our skis here a little bit, but I just want to make it known that every time that I hear about Elly De La Cruz, everyone always kind of starts to talk about, well, we need to do something while he's here. We can't waste the window. We can't waste the window. All right, well, there's a new leader in the clubhouse for that conversation, and that guy is Hunter Greene. Period.
Yeah, this starting pitching, I mean, it's incredible how far it can carry you because this offense has been abysmal. You got some help hopefully coming, but I mean the fact that the Reds are 8-8, they lost 3-1-0 games. They blew a game on opening day where they were 1 out away from a win, and they blew a 5-0 lead. They're still 8-8. That just shows you how incredible this starting pitching is. I mean, you don't have to squint to say the Reds should easily be 10-6 right now, and their offense has been atrocious.
Atrocious. They've not. I think they've stolen, and I like to use the word stolen, like maybe winning games that you otherwise think that you probably shouldn't have won, or it was questionable at the end and you found a way to pull it out. Ricky Karcher, the Karcher game probably is at the extreme top of that list, maybe. But it doesn't feel like the Reds have won that many games like that. Maybe one, maybe one, where they kind of scratched out a few hits the other night and they didn't really hit many balls hard and they found a way to win. But, I mean, the truth of the matter is that they are 8-8, Nick, with an atrocious offense. I mean, absolutely atrocious. We have some help on the way that I'm sure we'll get into in the back half of the show. What do you do with certain guys? I guess that's a decent segue into the fact that we are getting some production at the right time right now. And I think that's been the difference, right? The last few games, sweeping the Pirates have afforded us some opportunities in this series by walking guys and hitting guys and putting extra runners on base and then making some errors to kind of exemplify all of that. But they found a way to get the big hit in this series. And they might not have a ton of hits, Nick. We know that they don't look like much of a juggernaut. It certainly is not Murderer's Row. You're not going to be looking back in a few years from now and pointing out a bunch of guys in this lineup that just had great years offensively. I'm about sure of it. But if Espinal can come through and put the ball in play and hit a flare out to center field and you get 2 runs that way, Elly finds a way to put a bat on the ball last night with the bases loaded when he could have easily swung through the pitch, and we've got no runs. And instead of getting no runs, we get 4 runs. Those are the margins that this team's going to be playing with for the foreseeable future until maybe Austin Hayes comes back, or Spencer Steer can get healthy, or CES can find his way, or, and Tyler Stevenson comes back at some point. I'll openly say, Nick, this is what this team is. Even when we get that help, I certainly think that the Reds should be a little bit better than what they've been. I mean, they're quite literally the worst offense in baseball at this moment. But I don't think that when they get the help, Nick, they're going to catapult into the top, I wouldn't even call them average. They're not going to get to the 15th, 16th, 17th best offense in Major League Baseball. I hope I'm wrong. But I think for this team to win, they're going to have to get timely hits. They're going to have to rely on some guys that otherwise aren't going to put up big numbers. But as I've said before, some people say playing the game the right way or playing small ball. But getting guys over, putting the ball in play, getting guys in, and I'm not saying bunting when I'm talking about small ball. I'm talking about you can't be Spencer Steer and Jeimer Candelario today, right? Like you can't miss opportunities like that all too often, because it's going to come back to bite us. Didn't today, but it's going to. And we need to find a way to hopefully hear from an offensive perspective to get a little bit of help. But you have Santiago Espinal on the rundown, Nick, and I would just say I kind of got in the debate today. We had a little bit of fun on Twitter, not with you per se, but had some fun with Bryce, and I think that it was a reasonable conversation is, how much are we valuing defense? Because Santiago Espinal has done nothing but provide excellent defense. And if he just provides a little bit of help at the plate, he's basically a Trevino 2.0 in the field to a certain extent. I don't know how much Reds fans are going to value that. Your thoughts on Espinal as a whole, and I guess what the Reds are going to do here when hopefully everybody's healthy?
Yeah, I mean, I wish the Reds had a better third baseman than Santiago Espinal, but right now, you run him out there just about every day. I mean, what are you losing? I mean,
200 points OPS.
You can't bench CES or Spencer Steer or Jeimer Candelario. You can't bench one of them to put Santiago Espinal in at third base. I mean, if all three of those guys start magically hitting, okay, then we have a different conversation. But until then, put one of them on the bench, play good defense. Like you said yesterday, play into your strength. Your strength is pitching. So, yeah, I am 100% on board. Run Santiago Espinal out there every day, assuming Matt McLain is back on Tuesday. That's on the back half of the rundown here. But, yeah, I just think that, again, I think Santiago Espinal is probably – Santiago Espinal is kind of the player that I think is overrated by a portion of the Reds fan base and drastically underrated by another portion of the Reds fan base.
The thing with Santiago is just he's going to struggle at the plate at times. And the one thing that you want to do as a fan base is try to fix the problem that you see on a nightly basis, right? And what you see on a nightly basis more times than not with this team right now is that they can't find a way to produce any offense to get you in a spot where you feel good about it. So you want to start taking guys out that aren't producing offensively. And it's like, my thing is that I don't want to take out the one guy that actually provides very good value on the other side, which is obviously defense, in exchange for a plethora of people that have proved nothing. They have proved nothing. Like, it'd be one thing if, and again, I'll use extreme examples here. It'd be one thing, if we were waiting on guys like the likes of Bryce Harper to start playing well, but we're waiting on the guys like Jake Fraley to play well. That's no guarantee. Spencer Steer has been terrible. And I'm not saying it's his fault, to be very clear, but he has been terrible. CES has not been good. Candelario, horrible. Yet the Reds are 8-8. You make of it what you wish. You can get excited about it. You can feel terrible about it. I really don't know, and I'm knocking on wood here because I could be completely wrong. I really don't think this offense can get a whole lot worse. And I
hope not.
I'm just saying. And I know people are going to be like, oh, there goes Trace. Why are you jinxing us? Watch the games. This offense is that bad. As soon as you think it can't get worse, they almost try to outdo themselves. And I am openly admitting this series, lucky's a strong word. They've been fortunate, very fortunate, to produce the runs that they've produced. They've also had some opportunities, I know, to maybe cash in, and they didn't because they have some inept offensive pieces here. But, Nick, I guess I'm at the point here where I guess the only analogy I can think of is when you're dealing, how you have maybe a talented player at times, but they just have some attitude problem, or there's some situation where they just don't follow the team rules, or they're late to practice, and you're just kind of like, at some point, Nick, you're like, I really don't give a damn anymore how good they are. I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm tired of seeing it. I'd rather just play the kid that plays hard and shows up on time. Might not have as high of a ceiling, so be it. And that's kind of where I'm at with Santiago Espinal. It's like, at least he provides some value defensively, and I know he's going to make the right play. He has a pretty good baseball IQ. I'll take that to save 250 points on the OPS, which is about where we're at right now. In fact, some of them are less than that. But that's here nor there. I mean, I know we can't do anything with Candelario, so let's run through this really quick, Nick. Basically, the issue right now at hand is that when Matt McLain comes back, he's going to be available, and you obviously are going to have to play him because of his track record from basically prior play. You have CES, Candelario, Steer, and Fraley. You have 4 guys that are providing little to no value. Steer is a guy that obviously could go on the IL, in my opinion, just so you can get him healthy. CES, a young guy, so he needs to play, Nick. Like, he's going to have to play. Whether it's in AAA or the big leagues, he's going to have to play at some point. You have also, I'll even add in the mix of Marte. Marte's a guy who I guess you could say kind of has looked decent, but he looked terrible in the Winter League. He looked terrible all last year, and he played well, and he looked terrible in the spring, but then he's played well in AAA to start the season off. So there's no guarantee there. But he needs to play every day because he's a prospect. And then you have Candelario, who you paid a bunch of money to. So what do you do with him? It's just the Reds are in a kind of a unique spot where it's almost like, do you just play to try to win every day with your best players, or do you need to try to keep remembering that there's prospects here and we can't just stash them on the bench?
Well, CES is also apparently dealing with, the quote was banged up from Charlie Goldsmith, with back and hamstring issues. And I think Francona's quote, I couldn't find the exact quote, but was something about hoping a few consecutive days off will make him feel better. Look, I'm a biggest CES fan, but just put him on the IL. I fully supported Matt McClain, giving him extra time because, man, you know right now how valuable he can be. I understand that. What CES has been really bad. Just put him on the IL. I don't understand why they didn't have him. There's a lot of roster moves right now. This week of roster management is I just don't understand it. The Reds go 5-1. Just you throw your hands up in the air and go, well, no one's going to listen. It's like when the Reds are losing and I try to say, well, there's this pod. No one wants to listen to you then. Yeah, exactly. And when you want to complain about the roster where they're winning, no one wants to listen to you then. So I don't know. I mean, if CES isn't 100%, put him on the IL. As soon as that's done, put him on a rehab assignment. It's not a demotion. It feels better. I just don't understand that. There's not a team in baseball right now that would bench Candelario completely. You might stagger some starts or something like that, but you're not going to bench the guy that's paying this much money. The same guy that had almost identical numbers for the first 15 games of last season and then went on a big run. So it's not happening. You can complain till you're blue in the face. It's not going to happen. And no one else that's in the red spot would do that. Spencer Steer, it's just a massive mistake to put this guy on the opening day roster. I don't know what the hell they were doing with this. We knew it at the time. We felt it at the time. And it was a massive mistake. Are these mistakes that the Reds have made with roster management? Is there big solutions? No, but I think there's better solutions, and I don't understand why they've gone this route.
For whatever reason, it seems like the Reds have kind of thrown themselves into the thought that they have legitimate, established big league players that are at best guys that you would consider starting their major league career. That's kind of how I look at it. And I know this is, maybe a little not on the bright side, but even Matt McClain, right? We as a fan base look at Matt McClain like he's, Scott Rowland in his prime. And I'm not trying to say that he can't be that great of a player. I love Matt McClain as much as anybody, but it's almost as like we're not that far removed from Matt McClain also, struggling, if you want to call it that, in the minor leagues for a little bit of time. He's looked unbelievable since he's been here. So you know what? Me and you, Nick, both, we think he's that guy. But now he's propped up some injury concerns. So, there's no real set in stone answer when it comes to this lineup, which is why I think maybe we both agree. We don't always agree, but I think we both agree that there just shouldn't be set pieces and set in stone thoughts that when it comes to things that this team should do. They're treating Spencer Steer like he's been with this ball club for 8 years and he's basically had a career similar to Candelario per se. He's just not had that. You add on the fact that he's been hurt or he was hurt and you stick him on the opening day roster when he can't play the field. I don't know what they do. I really don't know what they do. I guess we'll find out. I'm not suggesting that the answer is going to be pretty simple, but the whole reason we're talking about all this, I guess, is largely because much of the discussion is, what do you do with Santiago Espinal? And my clear main answer right now is leave him alone. let him play in the infield every day. If you need to give one of the guys off or give a guy a rest, so be it. Like, and I'm not suggesting Ellie needs a day off, but if Ellie were to need a day off, okay, then Espinal's playing. He can play second base, he can play third base, but damn near every day, 5 days a week, I'd like Espinal playing in the infield until somebody decides they can hit a baseball on this roster. Until then, I just can't imagine not having him be in the lineup. So, all right. Go ahead if you got
We'll save Marte for the back half because I don't really have anything left on the back half.
That's fair. All right. If you are looking to possibly go to the ball yard or get tickets anywhere, please do me a favor and download the Game Time app today. It is the official ticketing partner of Chatterbox Reds. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CBox. That's CBOX. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. I'm a big fan of the all-in pricing. You can click on there. I don't know if you've checked out other ticketing apps, but sometimes you might just get to the checkout and realize that those $20 tickets are actually like $45 tickets, all said and done. You can click all-in pricing on the Game Time app. You can avoid that mess. 2 clicks, pay, get out of there, got your tickets in your inbox, and you're on your way. Use the Game Time app. First-time users, code CBox, CBOX. Get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And as always, text and or call 988 anytime, day or night, anonymously. If you need help, please go get it. Mantherapy.org. It's okay to not be okay. All right, Nick. Back half here. You have Marte with a question mark. Listen, I think you know what's weird about this show is you do it every night. Obviously, you do it nearly every day. So you're always trying to kind of find a way to talk about things that are unique in nature, and you want to try to not keep hashing over the same thing over and over again. You know, I had said on this show yesterday that I think that Marte, similar to Will Benson in a way, is one of those guys that has a ceiling that they're capable of probably reaching that gets this team over the proverbial hump when there's other guys that can't get there. And I had said yesterday that Noelvi Marte is a big piece of the puzzle here if we want this team to be a legitimate World Series contending team. Now, that's a far stretch from where they're at probably right at this moment, but I think that's one of the pieces to the puzzle. But on the very next day, I'm trying to at least warn some others of saying, like, hey, just because this guy comes up here, he hits a couple balls hard, he gets on base, he makes one diving play. Let's not just now all of a sudden say that he's demanded to play every single day at the major league level and forget about the fact that he looked terrible for what has been a year and, oh, by the way, was suspended for half the season for being an idiot. I'm on Marte's side. I'm a Marte fan, but at the same time, I'm trying to at least temper the expectations here of what we think we have in Marte, if that makes sense. It's like if Santiago, I guess I'll pose you this question. If Santiago Espinal was a prospect, would we view him quite literally the same, or if not better, than the way that some people want to paint Noelvi Marte at this moment?
We would definitely view Espinal better right now.
Right.
I mean, I think I can't imagine Espinal's not going to play every day. And if Matt McClain's back on Tuesday, then it seems like a slam dunk decision that Marte gets demoted. The last thing I want is Noelvi Marte not playing every day. I don't really care if he plays in the big leagues or in AAA. I just want him playing every single day and getting better because I am a long-term Marte believer. So again, what do the Reds do roster management wise? I assume Marte is the guy that goes down, and then maybe either CES is put on the IL or Hurtubise, I guess.
Right.
Hurtubise continues to survive on this roster. I mean, it seems like that would be if you had to guess, that would be the choices would be if CES is healthy, I think it's Marte and Hurtubise. If CES is not healthy, I think it's Marte and CES. But normally I felt pretty confident in the past trying to guess Reds' decisions. This year, I have zero confidence in my ability to guess their thinking anymore.
Is it crazy? And I guess this is kind of where I'm at. I don't love it from a development perspective, possibly, but I do think that guys can get better outside of the game itself. I do think the game is probably what would harden you the most and make you develop the most. So I tend to what I'm getting ready to say. I don't know if I believe it full-heartedly myself, but at least it just is a bridge for now. Would we be opposed to giving Marte a first baseman's mitt from time to time and just seeing if there's a way to get him at bats at the big league level if he finds a way to stay consistently? And then, oh, by the way, he can play third base as well. I'm not trying to suggest he's an everyday first baseman, but it's almost like I continue to go back into this, hey, let's just go all in on defense, and maybe he would turn out to be a bad first baseman because it's a different position, but I have a hard time believing that. If I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but I'm being serious. If Candelario can take a first baseman mitt and figure it out, I think Noelve can. Is that even a thought or an option at some point if he continues to play well?
They got it. With all due respect, I think I'd have to see 2 weeks of Matt McClain stay healthy for me to consider that.
Okay.
I mean, because you send Marte down and you tell Noelve, I mean, you might be right back up here if Matt McClain gets hurt. He slows the third, Espinal goes to second. So I'm not chasing things now. I know a lot of people have kind of said the same things with like Sal Stewart. Hey, maybe we should start, putting him in right. You don't want to chase things until you have to. I don't think you want to waste guys trying to learn multiple positions that are unnecessary.
Right.
You kind of want to wait. I would rather they wait till they're necessary because Marte, I feel, and from what I've watched, I don't get to watch every inning at AAA by any stretch of the imagination. But from what I watched, Marte looks significantly better at third base defensively than last year, just watching him. He's certainly not as much of a liability as we saw, which was whatever Marte did last year defensively was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. I mean, this guy came up as a shortstop, supposed to be a all-around player, and it was just bizarre how bad he was. So I don't know if I necessarily want to take his attention away from continuing to develop on the left side of the infield. I know the Reds have been playing him so much short down at AAA and at third base. I think both of those are good options just to have him continue to get better.
Yeah, it's just like the Reds. The tough thing right now, if we're being completely honest, is that we can't find the guys that we thought were going to be everyday players for us at the positions we were hoping to grow with them in. We can't find either health or we can't find consistency. Now, Marte has a chance to possibly provide that. He's not gotten a lot of opportunity to do so. The last half of the season last year, he was terrible. But to be fair, he was coming off the fact that he had gotten suspended. I don't know what kind of impact that made on him, whether his preparedness to play in the second half and or just his mental psyche of being able to come back from maybe a super embarrassing thing. And Matt McClain just can't stay healthy because of injuries. But the truth of the matter is that was the plan. And it still is what I would probably say behind closed doors, the Reds, if they had a kind of a perfect way of going about things. Clearly, Marte's your third baseman. Clearly, Matt McClain's probably your second baseman. And the issue, Nick, is that neither one of those things have happened. And then you have a guy like Espinal who makes it a little muddy because he plays well enough and he's playing good enough to earn the right to keep playing. And you're still a professional franchise, right? Like, you're still trying to win every single day. You can't always just kind of punt to next season and be like, well, we're just developing our guys for next year. We were told that in 2023. This fan base, for the most part, right? And we try to defend the decision, but the fan base was told in 2023, like, hey, pump the brakes here, guys. We're not going to really go out and get anybody at the deadline because look at this young core that we have. Look how they're progressing. And let's not try to maybe trade somebody that we might want to use in a couple of years when this young core is at their prime. And that makes perfect sense. The logic is completely there. The issue ultimately is that if one thing doesn't go right and then it leads to the next thing, you start to kind of have some cracks in this plan. And that's where I think the Reds currently sit, if we're being completely honest. Matt McClain, if he's healthy every day, it makes things a lot more simple. If Marte doesn't get suspended for steroids, plays relatively okay, probably never loses his spot at third base, and we don't have to try to sit here and figure out, does he fit in or not fit in? Does he play or not play? And the thing that sucks the most is the position flexibility for these guys is that they're such young prospects that you don't want to move them a ton because they're still prospects. You don't want to ruin their career or where they might best serve you in a year or two. But the truth of the matter is what they would best serve us doing right now, Nick, is probably playing some different positions that allow them to get in the lineup every day. So if Marte is not capable of playing the corner outfield spot and he's not capable of playing first base, then he doesn't really get the leash that Jake Fraley gets, right? Like, I think we could all agree that we would love Marte to get the same leash, if not longer, probably longer, leash than Jake Fraley. And the issue is,
like
that
a lot of players to get that leash.
Yeah, the issue is that he doesn't play a position that affords him that opportunity. He just doesn't. I mean, unless Espinal falls off the face of the earth and starts making some errors, and then also on top of that doesn't get any better at the plate, it's hard to make all this make sense. So I'm just openly saying it's muddy for a reason, and this offense is abysmal, largely because our first base stinks from a production standpoint offensively. Our DH stinks from a production standpoint offensively. And then we have kind of these platoon splits that we get ourselves in the outfield that they also then stink. You know, Lux has good at bats, and he's gotten forced to face left-handed pitching a pretty considerable amount of time based off what we probably expected coming into the year. But outside of that, there's just really not a lot to get excited about offensively from the outfield.
How about Jake Fraley whiffing on another ball today?
I'm trying not to beat a dead horse. You know, I really don't want to come. My thing is that we swept them, right? We swept them. We should be excited as fans. And some people might take this talk right now as like, oh, man, and they're like, this is down in the dumps. This is great. As I said before, we're 8-8, Nick, and we quite literally have – I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I think you could quite literally take a blind pick out of the hat of Division I SEC baseball players right now, and whoever you get out of that hat, they plug and play for the major league lineup right now in those certain positions. And I would be willing to bet, you think I'm joking, I would be willing to bet that we got around the same production.
I mean, some of these numbers, it's not hard to argue with you on that. Yeah, no, this team was built to win ugly. Like that's part of the equation here. But I think we could also should be allowed to still be a little bit frustrated with the construction of this offense and the way it's being handled right now, and the fact that Jake Fraley whiffs on another ball, hasn't hit worth a lick all year, and has a different set of accountability standards than everyone else. I don't understand it. I would like to have that answer to me. Why is this accountability thing pushed and preached, and Jake Fraley continues to get run out there every single day against right-handed pitching?
Right. Yeah, but you know what? Listen, let's jump off here, because I think ultimately we're talking about things that we know that we're concerned about, and I think this fan base should know that we're very much in a position where we should be concerned about these things. But as I've kept trying to say, the truth of the matter is that this team's 8-8. This team is 8-8, and they were 3-7 not that long ago. After losing multiple games by 1 run, not scoring on consecutive nights, going into the 3rd consecutive night, quite literally not scoring a run until like the 7th inning. And the only reason you could be 8-8 is if you have obviously good starting pitching, but then also your bullpen holds up, right? And I think that as we move forward, the bullpen is going to get bolstered, I would think, a little bit by Alexis Diaz. I don't know what this team's going to do. I guess what will be Tuesday, they're going to have to make a roster decision, I would assume. I say that every single time on this show, to be clear, for the last, what has been 2 years. And every single time, Nick, I must tell you that there's an IL. There's some kind of injury that happens, and next thing you know, they make a roster move because this guy had gotten hurt. What do you do with the bullpen? Alexis Diaz comes back. They've been pretty damn good. Sam Mole on the way out. I don't know what you think about the whole situation, but where are your thoughts at with the bullpen?
Yeah, first off, bullpen just continues to perform well. 8th in Major League Baseball in ERA, 3.23. Shout out to Tony Santillan, already pitched in 9 games, 9 of 16 games. That's quite a bit. 0.93 ERA, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. That's pretty good. How about Ian Jabot? Gave up 4 runs on opening day. He's only allowed 1 run in 6 outings since.
Yep.
And that only run that he allowed was in a 8-2 loss to the Brewers, and he was one of the last pitchers to pitch in that game. So it was an inconsequential run. So shout out to Ian Jabot, and that kind of leads me to the stuff today. Made it sound Diaz was in Cincinnati. Sounds like he is for sure going to be activated on Tuesday. I don't know why he'd be in Cincinnati and not. Interesting comments. The thing you got to always remember with a player like Alexis Diaz is a lot of times these comments I think can get really easily lost in translation. So I know there was a lot of people upset. I don't know, maybe upset's not the right word, but concerned that Diaz said something about I was told to throw the ball down the middle, and I'm like, maybe there was something more to that, but sounds like Alexis Diaz will be added, and yeah, Sam Mole has to be the odd man out. There's only 2 players that have options, and it's Ashcraft and Mole. Ashcraft certainly is not getting sent down. Right. Ian Jabot's pitched certainly well enough to not get DFA'd. If Ian Jabot is good enough to be on the opening day roster, then the last 6 games have certainly been good enough to keep his spot.
Right.
So,
if you're going to bring up Jabot, if we're going to bring up someone from DFA perspective, I'm not trying to get. That's not going to happen. To be clear, I think Mole's going to get optioned. But I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like clearly, Jabot's valued higher than Suter.
But Suter's on guaranteed money, and I have a hard time believing they're going to throw away guaranteed money in April. Same thing with Barlow. I mean, Jabot's on a league minimum deal where you're only paying him what you paid him so far. So it would be a lot easier from a payroll perspective to DFA Jabot than it would Suter or Barlow, which is why I don't think there's any chance those guys are DFA'd in April. You don't see that very often. I mean, you have to be really, really bad to get guaranteed money on a big league contract and get DFA'd in April. I don't think either one of those guys are at that level.
They're not going to. No one's going to get DFA'd, to be clear.
It's going to be Mole. Yeah. But again, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
The roster,
better be careful.
And they're also in more seriousness. There also is always the possibility that someone's dealing with something that we don't know, and they get put on the IL on Tuesday.
Yeah, gastritis.
They're never going to tell you. They're never going to tell you that one of these guys is injured, and they shouldn't, because that would be an advantage to the Brewers if they knew that. Let's just say, for example, Taylor Rogers was dealing with something. Well, they know that the Reds are down a left-handed pitcher, so that's always a possibility too. But if it's not, I feel like it's pretty confidently Mole.
It has to be Mole, but I mean, he's only pitched. I haven't looked at the bullpen usage, but he's pitched twice all year.
I have it up here. He's only pitched 3 games, 2 innings.
He's thrown 2 innings this year.
Everyone else has thrown at least 4, and that's just Suter, who's kind of that, right. And then everyone else is over 6. So, yeah, I mean, that's quite a leap.
Yeah. So, listen, I think the Reds are in a great spot. They're in a great spot for where they could have been. I think perspective in life is probably the best thing that you can have in all aspects of life. And, there's times where you can be frustrated with your baseball team when they're 10-6, and you could be happy with your baseball team when they're 6-10. I couldn't be more thrilled that this baseball team's 8-8. I mean, they have needed every bit of unbelievable pitching to stay relevant, and they've gotten it. Because the truth is that we know that throughout the rest of this year, this pitching isn't going to be this good. It's just almost downright impossible to be this good. And they just so happen to deliver this level of greatness, if you want to call it that, at a time that the offense couldn't have been much worse. And what you find yourself is in an 8-8 record. We make fun of run differential from time to time on this show. I know that can be used at the end of the year to kind of get, at least from a big numbers perspective, a good gauge on maybe, how unlucky or how lucky you were when it comes to kind of when your production comes. Because there's clearly, from an analytics perspective, there's some people that just believe that large numbers are going to obviously bear out. They always do. The math is the math. And you're going to get production out of this team, and this is what you're going to get. The question is how does it basically come out of the machine? And if you find yourself in a spot where, from the run differential standpoint, as we've seen a couple of games this year, where you get all of your offense and all of your pitching at the exact same time, you might think to yourself that, that's great. But the truth is if we find ourselves in a position where our offense is horrific and the pitching is horrific, or even call it average, you're going to dig yourself such a big hole that you can't get out of it. They did it last year. They quite literally did it last year. And I was worried about that because it feels like we've not gotten a chance to get this plan A, if you want to call it that, Nick. We've not gotten a chance to see that this year. Austin Hayes, obviously not available. Tyler Stevenson, obviously not available. Matt McClain, hurt again. You might say that this is just what it is, and I'm with you, Nick. I'm not using it as an excuse, to be clear. But I think we can all at least admit that this offense wasn't supposed to be this bad, and probably is not going to be this bad for the remainder of the year. Are they going to be good enough? I don't know. I'm not proclaiming that. But we needed the starting pitching to be absolutely unbelievable for us to be 8-8, and we are. So I think that that's an unbelievable silver lining.
Yeah, then the pitching, you're right. It's not going to be this level a year, but you hope that you have the depth to survive. Cubs had a brutal break today. Their ace, Justin Steele, is out for the year, so there's no guarantee the Reds won't lose someone big at some point, but the Cubs had probably a close to equal 1 through 5 as the Reds, but where the Reds, I think, had the better was 6 through 10. And so that's, the one thing that the Reds, you can make up a lot of ground if you have healthy pitching and another team doesn't, and you have more depth than another. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the year, but you just can't be more excited about the way this team, this pitching staff just gives this team a chance to win every single night.
That it does. A few last topics of conversation I've seen in the chat. I have some supers that we'll get to, but one of them was obviously trying to play Lux at third base. I personally want no part of that. I as I've said before, I'll say it again. I just don't know if he's going to be capable of playing even remotely good defense over there. He's not. It's not a position. Now I know you're going to tell me that he's not played the outfield either, but it's not a position that he's played a lot of. It's not a position that he even worked on in spring training a ton. I know that he took some ground balls over there, but Nick, when we had watched the kind of the prospects games, he wasn't taking ground balls at third base, and maybe he is taking ground balls at third base behind the scenes. But it's like we don't have a major deficiency in our infield right now. We just don't have that. We have a major deficiency in the outfield, and we have a major deficiency at DH and or what do you call first base? I guess that's part of the infield. But I don't want to try to solve a problem by creating another problem. I don't want to do that. And maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I just don't think that trying to take one guy in one position that we're not too sure about and put him in another position that we're not too sure about just because we think that it might lead to a little bit better offensive production. Our offensive production stinks because we have some guys in it that are absolutely, horrific at positions that they're supposed to be playing.
This roster is nowhere close offensively to needing to force guys into positions that they're not adequate at. When we get to that point, we can have those conversations, but there's not enough good offensive players to force Gavin Lux into third base. And I feel like Lux has looked pretty decent in left field. I know he had that one really bad misplay in Milwaukee, but threw a runner out the other day. Overall has looked pretty comfortable, and I feel like you don't have to squint too hard to say put Gavin Lux out there almost a full season. By the end of the year, he's probably pretty capable out there in left field. So,
and they're also hiding him late in the games. Like, they're doing a good job. I'll give Tito credit. They've done a good job of hiding these guys late in games. They've put Hurtubise out there a few times. Blake Dunn's made some plays out there, and they've made big plays. They really have. There's been the line drive catch by Hurtubise. Blake Dunn makes a line drive sliding grab late in baseball games when it matters. We have some guys on the bench that are capable of playing the outfield relatively well defensively. And I guess that's why I have like a little soft spot in my heart for some of these guys. It's like, Blake Dunn, give it to me. I know he's maybe not great offensively, but neither is the rest of the guys out there. So if he's fast, he can catch the ball. Maybe he can get lucky and run into one every so often. He can get on base, steal a couple bags. Sign me up. And you know what? I never would have been a Stuart Fairchild stan either if it wasn't for the lack of offensive players that we have in this town. Like, there's a reason that I like Stuart Fairchild. There's a reason I like Blake Dunn. Is because at least they're providing me something that I know when I point to them at a Major League Baseball game, I can look at my kids and say, they are better than half of the league at that. And there's certain guys on this team that you can't do that with. And I'm looking directly at Candelario and looking directly at Spencer Steer and Jake Fraley.
Yeah, last thing you want to do is take away from your bread and butter. The bread and butter right now is pitching and surprisingly defense. So don't mess with that until you absolutely are forced to, because your offense and you got so many guys that are hitting so well that you need to force guys in there. But we're not even remotely close to that.
Not right now, we're not. So, all right. One thing that could help down the path, maybe not right now, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this season, but is some what we like to call prospects. That will lead us right into Reds MILB. Nick, we got some guys that are almost here, and they're playing some games for the Louisville Bats.
Yeah, a tough day for the Reds MILB. Everyone lost. Sorry to spoil the lead there, but some good things overall. Austin Hayes, 1 for 4, struck out 3 times, but did steal a base, so that's good to see. All reports are that he will join the Reds on Tuesday. Saw nothing that made me think he wasn't ready to roll and ready to get out there. And I don't know how good Austin Hayes is, but I know his floor is a hell of a lot higher than a lot of these other guys. So sign me up. Resigns off the bench. How about this? 2 for 2 with a double. Avon Johnson, this dude, he should be considered at some point. He's not on the 40-man roster, but he is playing incredibly well. His 3rd home run. I think he's got an OPS over 1,000 right now. He's playing really well. Will Benson, 0 for 4 today. On the pitching side, Chase Petty, really good start. He struggled his first time out. Last 2 starts have been pretty good. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. And Zach Maxwell, another perfect inning from him. Him and Luis May look really good down at Louisville. Nice that the Reds bullpen's looking good, and they have 2 legitimate options down at Louisville right now. No need to force them on the roster, but good stuff from them so far this season. All right, down at AA, tough day for the Lookouts. They lose 14-2 to Birmingham. Sal Stewart, 1 for 4. Hector Rodriguez, 1 for 3. Good day for Ethan O'Donnell, 2 for 4 with a triple. And Austin Hendrick,
what a guy,
2 for 4 and stole a base. Big day for Austin Hendrick. And a pitcher that I spent about an hour and a half on a deep dive the other night, R.I. Franson. I think that's how you say his name. 3 1/3, just 1 run, struck out 2. He's an interesting pitcher. Has kind of been on the rise. Kind of throws like a sort of sidearm delivery. He's a fascinating pitcher to watch. Go look up highlights of him on YouTube if you have a minute. All right, Dayton, they lose. Not Daytona, Dayton. They lose 3-1 to Fort Wayne. Really brutal situation in this one. Carlos Jorge made an incredible, like almost over-the-shoulder catch, slammed on the wall. And I don't want to speculate on the injury, but he was carted off the field. Looks like he's going to miss some significant time. This was a guy that I think he was close to a top 10 prospect for the Reds last year. Had a tough year, but last year was hurt as well. So just a brutal situation there. Carlos Jorge was one of the most likable guys when I got to spend a little bit of time around the Dragons. Really liked him. So very unfortunate there. And then just not a whole lot else offensively. That whole team is struggling offensively. Ricardo Cabrera, 0 for 4. Miles Smith, 0 for 4. Yerlin Confidant did not start, came in for Jorge after he got hurt. And then Daytona, they fall 5-4 to Clearwater in 11 innings. Luke Holman, though, really good start for him. 5 innings, 1 hit, struck out 5 batters. Alfredo Dudo, 1 for 3 with a stolen base. I did not see the stolen base, but you better believe I'll be looking up that tonight. And then Sammy Stafora was 1 for 4. That's your Reds MILB.
All right. Well, as we all know, the Reds do play more baseball. They got a tough stretch coming up. They got a little tough stretch coming up. If we can get through this stretch, dare I say, maybe 500 will be cooking with gas. But, Nick, who do we got? And looks like some familiar faces.
Yeah, the first ever start for Luis Castillo against the Cincinnati Reds, unless he faced him on the Marlins. I don't know, but the first start. Did they face him?
I feel like they faced him on the road, maybe, but I know he's not been back at Great American Ballpark.
Did they?
I don't know.
Did I forget this? I don't know. Did I block out?
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, definitely the first start at Great American Ballpark. But unless the Mariners are playing well, they just swept the Rangers, then took 2 of 3 from the Astros prior to that. So they're 8-8 as well. They got off to a tough start, but they are playing well. Yeah, Luis Castillo had never faced the Cincinnati Reds. Just checked it. So this will be the first one. You have to think, Trace. Mike was kind of hinting at this in the chat and kind of got me thinking. You have to think they're going to send Noelvi Marte down because they don't want him to face Luis Castillo.
Why not? Why not be positive about it? Maybe he takes some yard, and then all of a sudden everybody starts doing the whole we did the trade right thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there would be no overreactions whatsoever to the results.
Can we just bury that on both sides right now before it all starts? Let's just do a truce agreement. We'll bury the hatchet on both sides of this argument, and we'll call it truce, be done with it.
Yeah. But Nick Lodolo for the Reds, I'll just run through the matchups. I'll have a little more on the podcast version that you'll get on Tuesday morning, where I'll do a little bit more of a deep dive into the Seattle Mariners. But Tuesday, Lodolo against Castillo. Wednesday, Nick Martinez against Bryce Miller. And Thursday is a day game. Brady Singer against Brian Wu. That's the Mariners 2 through 4 starters. The Reds do miss Logan Gilbert, who's a stud, but not all. They're going to face 2 through 4. These are really good. Mariners are a very similar team to the Reds. Not a great offense, have really good starting pitching. So another very similar team, kind of Reds, Mariners, Giants. They're all very kind of similarly built teams.
Yeah. I'm looking at some AI right now, and it is absolutely having a really hard time with Luis Castillo and the Cincinnati Reds. I can tell you that. At first, I was told that he has faced them, and then I said, "Are you sure? Can you double check and see if he actually pitched?" And now we're backtracking in real time. So maybe Nick's AI brain, your brain's smarter than AI. Who knew?
I'm on the Baseball Reference, so unless Baseball Reference screwed it up, and I don't know my alphabet, I don't see Cincinnati Reds in there.
All right, perfect. Well, for now, you're still smarter than the machines. Because you can find the machines, you can read the machines faster than they can read them at this point. We'll see. But that's here nor there. All right, we got some traditions to do. Obviously, before we do that, you have one thing last on the rundown here. I don't know if you want to get to that. Listen, man, you had all day on Sunday to find that.
Okay, you know what? I got a lot accomplished today. I watched a little golf.
Did you?
A little golf.
That means you gambled on it?
Someone might have took Rory this morning. And
that would have been an absolute sickening watch if you took Rory.
Yeah, that was I got it about minus 150 with some boost, so. And had a Xander top 10, which he snuck in at the last minute.
Good
so
for you.
Yeah,
good for you.
I do got to ask you something, Mr.
Please.
Golf Guy.
Yeah.
Why do they not show more than the top 5 leaderboard? So I needed the Canadian golfer
Connors.
to lose a stroke, and there's like 5 golfers that are playing at the end of this thing. They do not show this guy for an hour. He's playing. They don't put him on the scoreboard. Like, do they not understand that people wager their hard-earned American coin on this event? Like, I mean, in NASCAR, a guy wrecks on the first lap. Every 10 seconds, I see him on there. I know exactly what place he's in. It was terrible. I was appalled.
They do show like the top 10, I believe, on that scoreboard that's on the bottom right-hand side. So I don't know.
No, it was 5. He was like 7th.
I know, but they kind of filter it in every so often. If you look, go back and watch the broadcast, it will pop down.
I was watching it, trying to keep the phone down. I'm with my kids. I just want to know if my bets are hitting or not.
Maybe it was the kids' fault. We'll blame the kids then, because I do think they do filter those out. Like it goes 1 through 5, and then it still shows the leader. It still shows 1, the leader, and then it goes 6 through 10, 10 through 15, I think is the way it goes. I don't want to throw your theory under the bus there. As far as showing guys hitting shots that aren't in contention, that's just not going to happen because they don't care.
Like 5 seconds, the end of the hole. Hey, he just hit
That's
for
fair.
par. Like
Okay.
a 5-second clip. Like, I mean, we're showing Rory McIlroy walking for 20 minutes consecutive. We can't show a 5-second clip of the guy putting the ball in. Come on.
All right. I'm not going to defend golf broadcasts because historically they've struggled at times. Okay. There has been issues perhaps from time to time with that, but I'm not going to, as Nick tries to run and grab the pillow, I'm not going to defend that. But what I will say is that there is nothing that is done in a more elegant fashion than what CBS does for the Masters. I mean, the camera angles they have, the cinematic shots that they produce live. Did you enjoy it? I hope you enjoyed that. That was like the most ridiculous roller coaster, ridiculous. Like Rory at one point looked like me golfing, right? I mean, genuinely. It was like you birdie a hole and then we'd double bogey a hole. And then all of a sudden we'd go for a hero shot and it would work out. And then we'd 2-putt. It was wild. I mean, I know this is off topic and nobody cares, but the fact that he hit a layup shot and had like a little pitch onto a green, Nick, I mean, that's like having the bases loaded 4 innings in a row, maybe 5 innings in a row with nobody out and not scoring. Like, that's how absurdly ridiculous that shot was. How he hit that ball in the water, I honest to God would have lost my entire house, my kids, and my wife if someone was like, hey, I'll give you $200, but all he's got to do is not hit it in the water. Otherwise, I get everything that you own. I would have been like, that's Jeff Ruby's. I'll take that $200. And then I would have lost everything. Now, for someone that doesn't watch golf a lot, probably not a big deal, like, oh, he hit it in the water. I'll never forget the fact that he hit that ball in the water. So, anyway.
Do you want to know why I took Rory?
Because of value.
Well, A, because of value, and B, because I saw a lot of people saying, this guy's a choke artist, and he's minus money. And that, to me, that's my number one. I'm betting on him because the public is inflating this guy the wrong way.
That's true, but boy, oh boy, did they were
hell of a sweat.
I wouldn't say they were wrong. That's here nor there. All right, Phillips Brothers, you do that, and we'll do the Phillips Brothers.
There you go.
Nice, beautiful.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate you. Well, we had something. Tomorrow, Phillips Brothers will have a brand new podcast. I guess it'll be Tuesday morning. It'll drop on YouTube. So be sure to check those out. Those guys will give their thoughts on the Reds, and we'll have a fresh podcast for you on Tuesday morning. I'll do a little bit more of a deep dive into the Seattle Mariners, give you some more notes and nuggets for you. So there you go.
All right, I got some supers here before I get going. Jay Twa says, Reds still suck. They have too many holes and need a uni upgrade ASAP. Also, who's on your Reds Mount Rushmore? You can't pick Johnny Bench or my stepmom. What a super chat that was, Jay Twa. Appreciate the support of the show.
Johnny Bench.
Can't pick Johnny Bench on the Mount Rushmore? Well, it's going to be Joey Votto, Joe Morgan, Pete Rose, Sparky Anderson.
Oh, wow. Okay. Big manager guy.
Well, it's kind of a winning World Series is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I guess Rose, Larkin, Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson's a good one. You got to say Joe Morgan, no?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to influence you. I'm not trying to influence you. I'm just saying Joe Morgan's like...
It's a lot easier when you have Bench. Bench kind of like... Because you don't have to go into those last two.
Yeah, I think Larkin's fair too. Like Joey Votto.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's Rose, Bench, Larkin, and Morgan are my 4, I would say.
That's fair. And if I were to trade out, I would go Votto over Sparky, to be honest. Or I don't know. Larkin's a good player. Votto's a good player. They're all good players. Laich 1277 says, I don't know where this info is kept, but when McLean's back, I think he's trying to say, when is McLean back? My wife thinks he's cute. Well,
Tuesday's supposed to be.
Hide your wives. He's coming back Tuesday.
Maddie's coming back.
Yep, Matty Ice.
If this guy rolls out of bed, it's a home run on Tuesday, man.
Dude, he came hobbling off the bench in Milwaukee, and I was like, I thought he was hurt. He just literally laser beamed to center field. Laser beam. A realtor named doesn't show me. A realtor named House, I think. That's it, right?
That's our guy. That's our
I know.
Chi-Town realtor.
Chi-Town realtor, yeah. I know that. it doesn't show me the full name, what are we doing, YouTube? I want them Nick Nuggies. What's that mean?
Well, I was about to say notes and nuggets, then I started saying, I think, like nuts. And I gotta correct myself. You must have missed it.
Nah, there's a lot of things I miss on this show. Jim Lafferty says, fourth guy, Derek Dietrich. There you go.
All good dudes.
Yeah.
All good dude team.
Yeah, Corky Miller.
God, I miss those 2019 uniforms.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was fun.
They're all better than what we wear now. Every single one of them.
Almost all of them. It was like a reprieve. We'll see. Phillips Brother podcast tomorrow. Phillips Brothers also will probably be here on the weekends here in the relatively near future. Kind of build that up a little bit. We'll start that train. But nonetheless, the Reds did win, which means I got to dunk a basketball, which means I got to turn my camera, and it also means that it's time to hit the outro, which now my mouse is stuck, and now it's working again. So, here we go. Sometimes you got to go back to go forward, and boy, did this Reds offense do that. Go dunk a basketball. Love y'all. Go Reds.